Well, I'm now going to talk to a gentleman we've all met already on his exploits, that's probably not the right word, but his adventure, even that might not be right, on getting back to the Isle of Man anyway. Chris, how are you doing? You're up at the Commis, I believe.
I am, yes. It's only 3 days to go now, so the end is nigh.
Well, we were hearing from various people about what's going on up there, so I thought it's nice to get a second opinion. Obviously, week 2 of the whole process, so maybe a few lessons have been learned. How was it for you? Take us through what it was like from being picked up in the UK.
It's not too bad. Obviously, we're all disappointed that we were all self-isolating before we actually came over here. So coming over to the island and being put in here at the expense that we all had to pay is a bit disheartening when we could have all gone home and been self-isolated, in safety.
Okay, so you were picked up in a coach in the UK and all put together, put on the boat, that sort of thing. What was it like on there?
Yeah, it's fine. Some people went from Manchester Hotel by a coach put on by the bus standing, obviously, and then that took us to Heysham. Some people made their own way to Heysham and got on the boat there. And
on the boat, were you all sort of kept away from each other in the sense of self-isolation? Yeah, to a point. Most people were 2 meters apart in the top deck only. They provided food and drink, etc. That's all part of your money that you've had to pay out, I gather. So, okay, so you've arrived. There was no police escort this time, I believe. You were just taken up in the coaches. No big fanfare.
No, there was still a police escort. We still had an outrider at the front, at the back, and a police car at the front.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, that hasn't changed as far as I'm aware.
And when you got to the hotel, is it true that everything gets searched? Is that really true?
People were getting searched originally, yeah, and mainly not as we checked in. Well, as we went to our rooms, they weren't. But any care package that was brought into the hotel initially was searched. That got brought up with G4S and the hotel staff, and we got that decision overturned. And now they no longer now search the bag, thankfully. Unfortunately, one girl who's gluten-free had a lot of her stuff taken out, which basically made she didn't have much food to eat. So yeah, that wasn't good. But obviously, once they contacted the G4S bloke in charge, Danny, he actually, out of the kindness of his heart, and did some shopping for her and brought that in. So that was a nice gesture for Danny. So.
Because you weren't allowed to bring in alcohol or food as such. Is that now changed? Then you can do what you want, or are you still under those obligations to buy food or take the food from the hotel?
No, I think people can now bring in food and drink. That's not a problem now. That's been overturned. They haven't got a right to search the bags, as far as I'm aware. So they have now allowed that. People who haven't had stuff already bought in are still buying drink from the hotel at their inflated prices, but that's their choice.
Well, it's a hotel, isn't it?
No.
Yeah, hotel prices. Tell us about the room. I mean, it's a standard room. You haven't got a balcony, have you? I mean, you just got a window. What can you do? I mean, we hear about this alarm on the door at night. Is that affecting your movement? Obviously, you can't get out or go out.
Yeah, basically, no, the room's a standard hotel room. We've got one window that opens ajar. I'm on the second floor sort of thing. It's okay for a hotel room. It's not fantastic. The television choice is very limited. The hot water's not very hot for a shower and a bath. We've got tea, coffee, etc. provided. The staff have been fairly good in providing anything we've asked for on the phone within reason, that we haven't got to pay for. So they've done the best they can do, really. The food's not fantastic, as you've probably heard from before. And before it was on paper plates, but it's now on china plates. We got that moved mainly from pressure from people in here. Group 1 who have gone now. And obviously Group 2 picked up on what Group 1 was saying, and now we've passed it on to Group 3. So they've now got the mantle to keep on the pressure of getting things changed. Mainly the exercise is what we're trying to fight for.
Because you're getting 1 hour a day at the moment.
Yeah, still 1 hour a day. So you're still 23 hours in this hotel room. On your own. Some people are with partners, but generally on your own. You see people for 1 hour of the day, and that's your lot. We were trying to push for 2 sessions, one in the morning, one at the night, because you've probably seen from videos before, there's plenty of room outside and plenty of room for social distancing, so that's not an issue, but the government are saying no at the moment, basically.
I think you've seen my interview with Jeff Allen, who's on his way back. He made some amazing points, things that maybe I hadn't thought about before, about the whole situation of why people can't go home and be responsible. And you picked up on that at the very beginning. You feel you have been sort of put on under a bit on this whole process.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic interview by Jeff. I mean, he raised some very good points considering he's not here. He's had a lot of feedback from our Facebook page to him, which is great, and he portrayed that very well. He did a very good interview. There's a few updates since his interview, but yeah, the situation's the same. I don't think there's anybody in here that I know of that want to be in here, and obviously at the cost. We all feel we could have gone home and been checked by the police, 3 times a day on the phone or whatever, and been self-isolating at home like everybody else in the Isle of Man had to. Apart from obviously the key workers, who 197 of them, even their families who weren't key workers, they've all been allowed to go home and be self-isolated, and we didn't get that choice because we're not trusted.
Some people said you could be tagged in the prison system to be absolutely certain. But I mean, on a serious note, you've done a few interviews with me, and I've been quite surprised the amount of people who have put comments on. Does that hurt you that people say this is all your own fault?
It doesn't hurt us. We're used to those keyboard warriors who think they know everything, but unfortunately, the government didn't explain to them properly, really, about the high viral load of risk that they all think we have got. Nearly everybody who was in the UK self-isolated for 2 to 3 weeks. When they travel up to Manchester, there's nobody on the transport because there's no one's meant to be travelling, and they're not. It's very quiet. So we've got no more risk than anybody else, and as no one's had it in here. No one's shown any symptoms at all. So we don't feel we're any more at risk than those in the Isle of Man at the moment.
And hearing from people who have checked out from Group 1 that no one actually looked them over, which I thought was a bit of a surprise for a lot of people. We assumed there was going to be some final testing to make sure that they haven't got temperatures or any signs of anything. But that doesn't happen, or didn't happen on the first batch, apparently.
No. The only test we had was on the either at Manchester Airport, at Manchester Hotel, or at Heysham. That was the only test we had. Even when we came in the hotel, we weren't tested. The first group didn't get one phone call or any phone call from anybody from outside or within the hotel to find out how their well-being was. And it's only just now, Friday night, that we started getting phone calls from the health department saying, are we okay, and how's our mental state? That's the first time in 18 days, basically, before we've had any contact from anybody to find out how we are.
And we're a bit concerned. Surprised, because if you're at home and you're rung up, I understand, and talked to quite often to see how people are. So you're getting less thought maybe than people at home who are self-isolating.
Yes, and a lot of people think, why is it the health department? It should be the Samaritans, because they're more keyed up as to asking the right type of questions to find out about our mental health. They've been fine, the people who have rang us, but unfortunately they've just been prompted by, again, from pressure within here and from outside, and all the people who are fighting our cause saying, we haven't had this any attention.
Well, the government says they're listening, and in fact the Chief Minister's hinted strongly now that things will change. Obviously too late for you, but any other lessons that people can learn from this?
The government can learn a lot. They can learn to communicate within each other. We got the Chief Minister on the Manning line the other day. He said that people from outside the UK can now apply to come back without being in the UK, which was a turnaround, and that's what Jeff mentioned in his interview. Unfortunately, in the afternoon, the Health Minister then said no. So obviously Jeff missed out on the afternoon interview. So you got the Chief Minister in the morning saying one thing and the Health Minister in the afternoon saying another. So as far as the people abroad are concerned, like the people in Spain and wherever who are trying to come back, they don't want to come back until they've got a date of when they're getting on the boat, because they don't want the extra expense of putting in a hotel. But they're not going to come back on a whim and hope that the government can make their mind up what the situation is there.
And I asked that a question about the UK's looking at maybe doing something similar about putting people in some sort of isolation, and would there be a double whammy effect? We didn't really get an answer to that, because you could end up having 14 days in the UK if you're coming from overseas, and then another 14 days of isolation in the Isle of Man, right?
Yeah. At the moment, all the people that we've been in contact with around the world are not going to come back until the situation's ended, because they don't want to have to go through the Commis situation, and they don't want to come back to the UK anyway, because obviously the risk of getting infected over there is much, much greater than it is anywhere else or here. So they don't want to come back to the UK, and so it's all finished, and hopefully they'll come back then. Because a lot of them are in a situation where they can afford to stay where they are.
Well, a lot of people are going to say. A lot of people are going to say that the government's doing the right thing here, because clearly our numbers are dropping. The amount of cases are really now. The curve has definitely gone down and flattened, and the R numbers definitely under the 1 So any final thoughts on this whole thing?
No, not really. I mean, basically, it's just a case of, nobody wants to be here and pay the money we have to be. We've been fighting that people shouldn't have to be here and be charged for. We're trying to get them all home and to be self-isolated at home. And we've got people fighting our cause with Paul Beckett and June Watson and Laurie Hooper, Daphne Kane. They're all helping our cause to try and get things changed. It won't help our situation now, but for the future people coming back, hopefully we can get it changed for them, so they haven't got to go through the rigours that we've had to, and basically not be trusted to go out to our own home and be charged for that expense as well, which not everybody can afford. However many keyboard warriors think we can afford it, and we've got all this money and we can afford to go on holiday, blah blah blah. They just don't know the facts, unfortunately. So it's it is what it is at the moment.